experience crossroads moments in our lives. One decision leads us down one path, and the opposite decision sends us down a very different path. The interesting thing is that we often don't even realize the significance of this moment until years later. Let me tell you about my crossroads moment that I actually just remembered a few months ago. When I was just getting started as a professional speaker, I attended a local meeting for a national organization for professional speakers. I'd already done some paid speaking engagements, but I really wanted to learn from others who were doing this as their career. I was so excited to attend this meeting. I was young, naive, and hungry to learn from other people who were further along in their speaking careers. But as the meeting began, I started to become very overwhelmed. First, they were using phrases and terminology I had never even heard of. Second, they were talking about how if you were a successful speaker, you had to charge at least $10,000 for a speaking engagement. This was very overwhelming, as my goal in speaking was just to help others, not get rich. And then the bombshell. They literally said, nobody is hiring motivational speakers. Motivational speakers are a thing of the past. If you want to speak, you need to be an expert in a very specific field. People are tired of inspiration, so don't even bother trying. My heart sank. My eyes were welling up with tears, and I could not wait to get back to my van as I heard this awful news and was processing this awful news. This was my dream. This was my entire goal. Everything I had done up until that point was to become an inspirational speaker. And now these people were telling me that it would be impossible. So I drove home feeling so defeated. I literally bawled my eyes out all the way home. At that point, I was already being hired to share my story, and I thought that people wanted to hear what I had to share. But this organization was saying otherwise. I felt like my dreams were being shattered, and I almost quit that day. I almost internalized that negative advice, and I almost lost all belief in myself, my message, and the impact I believed my story could make in the lives of others. But by the time I got home, I was determined not to quit. I believed deep down that this was what I was supposed to do. I was not going to let anybody tell me otherwise. So I decided I will make this work. And I began to remind myself that people needed my message. There has to be people out there that would be encouraged by my story. And I was determined to press forward with my dream. Now, today, I can look back and recognize the significance of that crossroads moment. I'm so glad that I didn't listen to that advice. I didn't let them stop me from doing what I'm so passionate about and what I'm still doing as a full-time career 15 years later. And after speaking to hundreds of thousands of people. So today, if you're watching this, maybe this is a message that you need to hear. Is someone in your life telling you that you can't do something that you really believe in? Are you telling yourself that you can't pursue a dream in your heart? Has someone ever told you, or have you told yourself, that you can't pursue something because of a disability or another limitation? Listen, if there's passion inside of you, you need to go after it. If you have a gift that needs to get out into this world, you have to let that light shine. Don't let anybody kill your dream. You don't want to spend the rest of your life wondering, what if? Even if it doesn't work out in the end, or if you end up following a different path that's even better, you never know unless you try. Now, of course, common sense is still important. I'm not telling you to do something dangerous or completely impossible. Many times, the people in our lives who are giving us words of wisdom really do have our best interests at heart, and you should at least hear them out. But at the end of the day, it's your gift, it's your calling, it's your life. And I shudder to think where I would be if I had listened to the naysayers. It might not make sense to others, just like my speaking career didn't make sense to some people, but when you are driven from deep within, you have to pursue it. Regret steals so much from people's lives. And too many people look back at the end of their lives and wish they would have pursued their dreams. So I'm sharing all of this with you today because I've learned that we can make our greatest impact by being vulnerable about our experiences and about our stories. I've really grown to love Brené Brown, who speaks a lot about this. She talks about being vulnerable and believing in your dreams. And here's a great quote on this topic. She says, "It's terrifying to be seen. It is scary. But the scariest is getting to the end of our lives and saying, I wish I would have shown up." So you're the only one who has to live with the answer to this question. When we get to the end of our lives, and if we didn't show up for our dreams, we're the only one who have to live with that. Not the people who gave us the advice to not pursue our dreams or tried to protect us from failure. So in other words, hear them out, but at the end of the day, you're the one who has control of your life, and you can do more than you ever thought possible. So if you take an account of what these people have accomplished in their lives, do they really have the standing to give you this advice? If they haven't done much, should you really listen to them? Some people don't like to be challenged or see others doing more than they have accomplished. So I hope this message has encouraged you. Never give up on your dreams. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and if this resonated with you, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an update. See you next time.